Welcome friends to my unboxing and review of the X870 AORUS Elite Wi-Fi 7 ICE X870 motherboard. Why did I buy this? Is actually to replace the B650 Gaming X, this guy, V2 motherboard. I got this in a bundle at Micro Center. So the issue with this board is when you have headphones connected, this specific one, at least for me, maybe others don't have this issue, however, it probably is across all the boards, that it has a really cheap sound card on it. So when you have headphones plugged in, you hear a line noise, like it's really annoying. You're trying to, watch a movie, you're trying to play a game, and you have this line noise, especially pronounced when you have the no sound or like a quiet period of time. So looking at the I/O over here, you'll notice, see, it has that headphone jack, but it doesn't have an SPDIF output. Overall, the board looked pretty actually solid. I would have kept it if it did have SPDIF. I mean, I already bought this $20 SPDIF adapter and the output. My last board did have SPDIF and it didn't have the noise issue. The reason for SPDIF is that I have these clip speakers. These are fantastic. I love these. They sound fantastic. And yeah, it was kind of convenient to be able to go from SPDIF output to just the Realtek or whatever other sound card that I had previously. I previously had a 3700X, and now I upgraded to the 9700X. That line noise was a deal breaker for me, and the solution that I found was a Creative Labs sound card, which was like $100. So this board in the bundle cost me like $150, according to the thing. Or technically, if you really consider it, if you would have paid Amazon prices for the motherboard and the CPU and the RAM, this board probably just cost me like 20 bucks. So if Micro Center doesn't take it back, I could always list it up on eBay, maybe get 70, 80, 100 bucks for it, So it's really not a broken board. It's kind of like, it lacks the features that I need. So now that we discussed why I'm upgrading, let's get to the mainstay of this review and just focus on this guy. Take out the old board, maybe get a few clips of the old board in action so you can see the comparison of a lower priced board compared to a medium range. This is more like a $300 board. And what I like about it is that it's in pure white everywhere. The whole thing is white. So let's get to the unboxing. So ASMR experience. Let's look at the box. The box is heavy. This feels like you're getting a lot of the stuff. Choking, ingestion hazard. So don't eat the motherboard. Children, do not eat motherboards. That should be written on every motherboard. Okay, so that's beautiful. Socket AM5. And Wi-Fi 7. Okay. I'm not into Wi-Fi. However, I mean, it's free. It's included. And you can't get a high-end board without Wi-Fi. So, what are you going to do? Now, let's get it unboxed. Yeah, professional. I am a professional reviewer here. Ooh, shiny. Okay. Now, let's see what's in this box. This is not even a box. Where's my stuff? I want free stuff in here. No. This board looks fantastic. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. Here. Oh, nice. Okay. So let's look at the parts, and then we'll get to the part of the video looking at the actual board. Okay. So what do we have included? We have a Wi-Fi 7 antenna that has that easy attach function. Somehow people found like screwing on an antenna was very complicated and that you would do it more than once. I don't know, maybe if you're traveling setup, but this board is way too heavy for traveling. SATA cables, nice. You definitely need those if you have like spinning rust or something like this. This is some sort of connector to do something. A G connector. We're gonna have to figure it out. It needs a whole manual by itself. So not very much self-intuitive, are we? Oh, it looks like you take breakout cables that are individual and you just stick them in here and they kind of get stuck, and then you could just plug in the whole entire cable into the thing. My case already has those kinds of things. Some sort of manual and a sticker. Yeah, AORUS sticker. Okay, now let's look at the actual motherboard. Oh, is there any? Oh, so maybe they have the screws on the actual NVMe slots. So let's get to the next part. Friends, is this thing not a thing of beauty? Ooh, making a white motherboard. This is actually my first white motherboard ever. You know, I'm very actually excited about this white motherboard because I actually have a white case. So that little white back panel is going to be white, and it's going to be white from the inside where I don't look, but that's nice. Just knowing that it's white is kind of nice. They made everything white. They made this thing white. They made these connectors white. So there's probably other reviews that are going to say like, oh, look at these fan headers. That's fantastic. What I like is this number, I guess, debug logo. Hopefully I never have to look at this ever, which is great. We have this, the 12-volt pin connector. I always use one wire in here. So I don't know if you guys have power supplies with 2 wires, but perhaps you need to at least use one. It always worked for me. So let's see the connectors. So we got the WIFI7, we got the Q flash. I figured out how to do Q flash because with that motherboard bundle, I had to Q flash it in order for the 9700X CPU to work on a B650 motherboard. Is that you put the thing, the BIOS, the GIGABYTE, you make the file gigabyte.bin, the BIOS file, you stick it in here. It has to be a FAT32 formatted file. And then you press this button, and then some sort of light flashes, and when it stops flashing, there's no more light after like 5 minutes. The board is upgraded. That's how I upgraded the B650. But we're actually focusing on this one. So these look up here to be USB 2.0 ports. These blue ones are 5 gigabit ports, 3.2 Gen 1. And then you have the fantastic USB 4 40 gigabit ports, which is fantastic. These are 10 gigabit ports over here, 3.2 Gen 2 and 2.5 gigabit. So what I'm most excited about is here. I need this to be part of my sound system. This makes it a fantastic because you could leave your headphones plugged in here and you have SPDIF output, and in the Windows settings, you just switch between SPDIF and the mic and the line out, and then you just have perfect sound every time you need it. And that's what I need. I need one that doesn't create the noise. Because having gone from that, and the previous board I had was, it was also a gigabyte. So I was pretty happy with that. I never had any issues with the line out. So hopefully the audio processor, whatever they needed to do to shield the electronics, to make it not hiss, it's probably there. So it looks like maybe this is a toolless design. That's pretty cool. So it has thermal pads on the bottom. We got actually, 3 Gen 5 ports. It looks like a Gen 4, and see over here it says Gen 5 and Gen 5. That's pretty awesome. I like that you could remove this by itself like this. That's cool. I mean, how many people do that removing all the time? But that's fantastic. What I like about this Gen board also is that it looks like X870 doesn't require a cooling fan, while X570, which I upgraded from, did require. This is a beefy slot over here. Look at that beefy boy. That nice aluminum heatsink. Well, for Gen 5, I think it creates more heat than the other one. And what's cool about this design is that it's completely toolless. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Can I put this with one hand? Maybe. Okay, so boom. Okay, so that's nice. They definitely made this board pretty. I like that it has four ports. The B650 had only 3 ports. I like also that it has 2 ports on the bottom, so they didn't give you an extra PCIe card and sacrifice one of these. So, for example, what my setup requires is graphics card up here, and I like to have a network card, a 10 gigabit SFP plus fiber optic networking card for that high speed networking goodness, because everybody puts 2.5 gigabit. That's what my actually complaint is. I was going to get a ASUS Pro Art motherboard that has 10 gigabit networking. However, it lacked this PDIF output. I mean, that board would have been perfect. I'm just surprised they don't put 10 gigabit on every one of these motherboards. I mean, you're already paying that money, and apparently on AliExpress, you could get 10 gigabit network cards for like 10 bucks. So I'm already spending $300 on this board. Where's the money going into? I mean, the design is fantastic. I'm happy with this. So I could use my SFP card, and I also like to use a USB card. Or in another configuration is maybe a network card, a 10 gigabit, and video capture card. So maybe you could capture gaming input. I'm not doing gaming streaming. However, that's an option. For me, I have a separate USB card, a PCIe card that has 7 USB ports, which are nice and high speed, and which I like sometimes and more convenient because it's all USB. It's 4 USB-C, I think, and 3 USB-A, or 4 USB-A and 3 USB-C. Anyways, it's a nice combination of a lot of ports where you could just plug it in here. I like that. And look at this heatsink for the VRM. That's pretty beefy. And then behind there, that's a lot of heatsink. That is a lot of heatsink. And then we look at the back of the board. Let's look at the back. Ultra durable armor 1. What is this armoring? Oh, this armors the PCIe slot. So if you have a chunky boy video card like a 4090, this is obviously, oh, is this a toolless design? Oh, also, I guess this guy opens up by pressing this button. So instead of trying to fit a screwdriver behind the graphics card, you could just press this button and unlatch the graphics card and be able to take it out. That's kind of cool. I like that. Bang. That's nice. I like that design. And making it all white, I mean, it obviously cost some expense. And what I liked about it is that, at least when I bought it, I bought this on Amazon. I'll link you below. At least when I bought it, the one that's the dark color version is also $289. This one was $289 and the other one. So what sold me on this was it had probably, let's say 80% of the functionality that I wanted, because there's the X870 chipset, and then there's the, like, see this one, X870, and then there's the X870E. E has like 2 chipsets or something, so you could put like 5 PCIe cards, and it's like $500, $500, $600, $700. I've seen these things, and it went all nuts. This one I think has the only place that it has RGB might be underneath this heatsink, so which I kind of like because I'm a non-RGB guy. So I have my lights off. I don't want to see no RGB. I don't want to hear no RGB. I have non-RGB RAM, and I have also an NH-P1 passive cooler. What's interesting about the AM5 platform is that it accepts the same coolers as AM4. So if you have expensive Noctua coolers, you just replace the hardware and it works. I mean, it worked on this one. I upgraded from a 3700X to the 9700X. And I went from like probably a 4 gigahertz base clock to maybe even 5.5. So most of the time it was running between like 5 and 5.5. Very excited about that. So overall, I'm actually, this is, you know, I'm writing this review, making this review as I'm unboxing it, and I'm just flowing my thoughts to you just the same way as you would be if you would have possibly bought it. So what do you like about this board? What would you want more on it? I just think it has all the features, because I've seen X870E boards which actually have slightly less features, because yes, they have an extra PCIe NVMe slot for more hard drives. However, they only have one slot on the bottom. So let's say if somebody has a capture card, they have to either use Wi-Fi 7 or the 2.5 or 5 gigabit Ethernet that most of them have. And so you would be able to basically put, it would be limiting you. So personally, I like the boards that have an extra PCIe slot over here. Mind you, this is not an X/16 slot. This is probably X/4 and probably a Gen 4 slot. I'm guessing. I'm just doing it off the top of the head. I mean, it's not like we got a manual in the box. I guess they don't print out manuals anymore. I mean, that saved some money. I'm glad that went into the board, at least to the design of the board. I'm happy with that. So, because basically put, the CPU can only have so many PCI Express lanes. So it has 16 that go to here, like 4 to here, and then the other 4 lanes get put into a chipset, which is the X870, which is kind of like a networking hub or whatever, that all the rest of the stuff gets connected, like the SATA, extra USB ports, these lanes, maybe some of this PCIe NVMe, and the USB ports. I believe they go through the chipset. They're not connected directly to the CPU. The direct connection goodness is usually for the first drive and the GPU, because that requires the most power. I mean, that's all I could say about this board at this second. So far, I'm impressed, and I'm hoping towards the end of the review that I tell you, hey, I plugged in my headphones and that sound issue went away. I just saw that my idea was this: since I practically didn't pay much for that board anyway, I could just resell it on eBay, as is, you know, just open box. And since a sound card, like Sound Blaster card, that it had in a review saying that it eliminated a guy's sound noise, because apparently it's an issue with some people's boards, but that would have been like an extra $100. But then I have a network card, and I have a USB card, and then I would have an extra audio card. That's an extra $100. So why not just get whatever I can get for that thing, not spend $100, get whatever I can get for the motherboard, maybe even up to $150 in a refund, get that returned, and so that's already $250. Throw in an extra $50, and we got this board going, because it was getting kind of janky otherwise. So let's get to the build process, and kind of like an unbuild first and then a build. I mean, I'll show you the inside, I'll show you the last board, yeah. So a quick side-by-side of the IOs. So this is the IO that you got on the B650, which lacks 2 USB 4 ports. Yes, it does have these 2 outward display ports, and Wi-Fi is the old school one. Also 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. This looks like a 5 gigabit port. No SPDIF outputs over here, which kind of is not as nice as this one. One compared to the other. And you see, this is what I meant about USB card over here, that has 4, so it's 8 ports in total. So it has 4, maybe 10 gigabit ports, and a lot of USB-C. A lot of things are going USB-C. I like the idea of like not having to use up the high-speed ones, where I could connect nice fast devices using these USB-Cs through here. I actually made a review about this. One of the videos is on my channel, and I have a fiber optics networking cable, and a 3090 over here. What's cool about the Zotac version is that it actually uses regular cables. It didn't use any adapters, so possibly even better for the thing. This is an 800 watt titanium power supply. It's for small form factor cases. What I like about it is that the fan doesn't turn on. And over here is a fanless tower cooler, the NH-P1, the Noctua. So you could use it with a fan or fanless. The caveat is that you have to use a 65 watt CPU. So the last CPU that was using this cooler was the 3700X. And now the 9700X used, and it just has all the mounting hardware, and there's a couple of screws on like through here that you screw and unscrew, and it doesn't make any noise. So no matter no matter what, technically the only thing that could make noises in the system now is the graphics card. However, you're playing a game at that point, so when I'm surfing the internet and doing other regular things, most of the time I don't even hear this because the fans I don't think even turn on. So technically it's a fanless system unless you count this, but the fans don't turn on unless you pour more than 300 load on it. And I haven't seen this whole system use more than let's say 400 watts, 500 watts ever. So that, this 800 watt power supply by Silverstone is actually really fantastic using Japanese capacitors. And that's 32 gigabytes of G.Skill RAM with AMD EXPO 6000 megahertz that came in the kit. That works perfectly with this board. However, we got to get that sound perfectly. So what I'm excited about is getting that whiteness on here, and that's going to look really nice from the side. Why I have this right here is that I let the heat radiate upwards. It actually doesn't even get too hot to the touch. You could touch it, it gets hot, but not that much. And that's why I like the idea of the 9700X or the 3700X, is that specifically 65 watt CPU TDP CPUs work with this NH-P1 tower cooler. And you could also put a low power, low flow fan that you could probably never hear. However, I choose to run without fans, and it's an option now with the Noctua. All right, friends, let's get this board out of here, get the CPU and the stuff transported onto this one, and get it built. Oh, by the way, this case, this is the Cube QUBE500 by Cooler Master. What I like about it is that it's very much modular. This kind of I pulled off from the top of the case. Otherwise, you would have the buttons over here, like where I'm putting my fingers through. So the top and the bottom could be switched over, right? But this is in the back where I have it set up, and I don't have a case on it so that air could flow in. So kind of like natural air, which is nice. So probably optimal airflow in that way. And all the sides come off. So building in here is quite easy, especially if you're trying to get to those connectors back there. You take the side off, or if you're building it, you don't have the side on, and then you could put the sides back on as you need it. You'll see in this video. So this is what I meant, where this is very convenient to work with. You could take the sides off and get to all the screws on the motherboard, especially these bottom panels. And what I also like about this is that the buttons panel actually just plugs into the board like this. It has all the stuff pre-wired that you need, at least the reset switch and the power switch. So that's really convenient to be able to unscrew two screws up here and get the side off. And you could technically take all the sides off. It comes flat packed actually. So saves the earth, saves the environment, and you could actually get to the parts very nicely. So see how cool this is? Getting all the sides off, at least these three sides. I don't care about this one because it's not blocking anything. You could get to all the screws, get to all the M.2 drives, get all the stuff, get the CPU cooler off. Makes life much easier. So having taken the cooler off, this is the bottom part of it, and you use the Noctua screwdriver that comes in the thing. The point that I wanted to show you is that you see this this over here. Instead of thermal paste, I use graphene pad. So this stays on and could be reused over and over again. So I don't have any thermal paste to remove, none of that. These are the brackets that Noctua comes with. You unscrew the old plastic ones and you put these in, and that's how you could get the CPU on and off. I just wanted to show you that part of the process because I believe those graphene pads are very convenient because they don't dry out. They work just as well or better than the thermal paste. I'm not getting my hands dirty. Perhaps maybe I should wash them because it's graphene. However, I'm not really that worried about that. And yeah, you gotta definitely not lose the screwdriver because it has a special, I believe, hex bit in order to you know, screw and unscrew this cooler. That's what I'm always happy with Noctua coolers, is they come with everything included, including Intel and AMD hardware. And you see over here, this board doesn't even have the 2 double pins. See, I always use just one. Things have worked for me before. You know, other people have different power supplies, but most power supplies I think have just one 12-volt for the CPU. If you have any other ideas, you know, where more could be plugged in, maybe instead of SATA, however, you don't want to lose that either. So I'm happy with that. It's always been working for me. And this is the B650 motherboard, the gaming, this guy. Too long to pronounce. So instead of so in this one you could do up to, I think, 4 drives, which is cool. So we got 3 PCIe and 1 up there, and this one has only 3 drives. So that's the difference between the two. Some people say that the B650 is kind of like the chipset that got upgraded to be the X870, like somehow they doubled it up, something like that. However, that's besides the point. I'm just looking at the different features and the price point. If I would have paid full price for it, I would have paid probably $199, it said on the box, and this is $289. $199, $289. This is like night and day, literally. So now let the transplant begin. Let's open up this beautiful thing over here and lift up this to reveal this part. So this part is very sensitive, and you see that little triangle? That's what we're looking for. The triangle in the CPU is to line up with the triangle that's on the upper in that left hand corner. So we're grabbing the CPU from here. Yeah. Probably a better idea to grab it with my right hand, not my left hand. Okay. $9700X, beautiful. Look at that silicon. Getting dropped in. Triangle to triangle. See? It's kind of hanging on. And then you put this guy. And the little cap comes off. You have to store this later in case you're selling the motherboard, because these pins always have to be protected, because if something like scratches it or something like that, the whole board is broken. So I have the old one, and we're gonna put that right back in. How do we do that? I guess perhaps maybe like this. Or is that like that? Oh, perfect. Where is that supposed to be the other way? Low T's. Perfect. So now we have that. Close that thing up, because we're still returning it. Maybe somebody else would be using it. Maybe to some people, this audio card, they have USB headphones, and that issue doesn't happen to them. You know, God bless them. I hope somebody gets a good deal on this board, or it gets returned to the manufacturer. Maybe there's a defect in this board. However, GIGABYTE, you know, I've had some good experiences with them, and perhaps with this one, I can't judge the whole line just because this lower priced board that they give away almost for free with the purchase of the CPU, that you know, so we can't judge that. You know, Micro Center is awesome. It was nice to get the item there. And yeah, let's get the cooler on now. So we're gonna unscrew these white little holders. The little back plate stays, and we're gonna replace them with these back plate holders, like over here, just like it is over here. And then we're gonna put the cooler on and the RAM on. So now at this point, we screw on the new brackets, and we're gonna be mounting the cooler. And this guy over here, you put on over here. Well, one of the things that you have to be very careful with this is when you're connecting the cooler, is that you don't shift this off like this so that only half the CPU gets the heat transference. With the last application, you saw that it was actually perfectly centered on it. And perhaps maybe with this AM5 platform, it actually stays more centered because you see this indentation of the processor from the previous mounting of it. Because previously I was using AM4 and it didn't have that same indentation. So now I'm gonna put the cooler on and we'll get to the next step. So it was easy. You just place it on top and you would just screw this screw in here, and now it's connected. Now this is connected, and you can see the beautiful heat pipes of this beautiful cooler. Nicely designed. And so let's get to the next step. So now all we got to do is screw on the board onto onto the case. See, we have screws over here. It fits beautifully. And yeah, let's get the screws on. Let's get all the parts in, and let's get to the conclusion. Do we have ideal sound? Hopefully we do. Fingers crossed. And I'll be a happy owner of this great motherboard, the X870, with all completely custom components. And I hope you're enjoying it. So if you're enjoying it, thumb it up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. So let's get to the point of it already be put together. So it's beautifully put together. I'm going to use this hole too. I have a USB port, USB connections that I want to connect here. Yeah, this is what it looks like. The white board actually looks extremely beautiful. I think Gigabyte might have hit it out the ballpark, making a white motherboard like this, because that is just stunning. That is just absolutely beautiful. Now let's get this guy connected and sound test. So I must say, this has been a success. See, I can switch over between this, the Realtek Digital, and the headphones. And then when you put the headphones on, they're completely, these are the headphones I have. These Bose sound canceling. And I have them on right now. And no hissing noise. So overall, this has been a success. Great motherboard. Works perfectly. X870. I did wind up updating the BIOS. I took a FAT32 flash drive, FAT32 formatted. I downloaded the newest BIOS from the Gigabyte website. I plugged it into the port that says BIOS, the USB drive, and then I pressed that little button in the left-hand corner above that Wi-Fi antenna thing, and waited probably like 5-10 minutes. Restarted, and everything worked perfectly. All right, friends, like the video, subscribe. The links are below to all the things you see in the video, including this 4K wonderful AORUS Gigabyte OLED screen, which is actually really fantastic. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you liked my review. I did my best I could. You know, this is not what I do for a living. I just like to share my passion of technology with you guys. And I hope you could appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next ones. Thank you, my friends. Bye.